Have you ever noticed how the quietest person in the room often has the most power? Think about it. In our world today, everyone is talking, everyone is shouting, everyone is trying to be heard. But what if I told you the real strength lies in silence? What if the secret to unlimited influence is not speaking more, but speaking less? Welcome to Stoic Ocean, where we explore the ancient wisdom that transforms modern lives. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into the 10 Stoic traits of people who speak less. These aren't just theories. These are practical tools that have helped millions gain control, find peace, and achieve extraordinary success. If you want to master the art of strategic silence and unlock your hidden potential, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because what I'm about to share might just change everything you thought you knew about communication. Let me ask you something. How many times today have you spoken without really thinking? How many conversations have left you feeling drained, wishing you'd said less, or said nothing at all? The average person speaks about 16,000 words per day. But here's the shocking truth. Most of those words are meaningless. They're filler. They're noise. They're opportunities lost. The ancient Stoics understood something we've forgotten. Sun Tzu once said, "In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity." But what if I told you the greatest opportunity lies not in what you say, but in what you don't say? Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, put it even more powerfully. Better to trip with your feet than with your tongue. Think about that. A physical stumble you recover from quickly, but a verbal misstep that can destroy relationships, end careers, and create wounds that last a lifetime. Over the next hour, I'm going to show you how to harness the incredible power of strategic silence. We'll explore 10 specific traits that quiet people possess, traits that make them more influential, more respected, and more successful than their loud counterparts. These are the secrets that leaders, entrepreneurs, and wisdom seekers have used for centuries to navigate complex situations with grace and power. And here's what makes this different. This isn't about becoming mute. This isn't about withdrawing from the world. This is about becoming more intentional, more strategic, more powerful in every word you do speak. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete toolkit for transforming your communication, your relationships, and your life through the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Are you ready to begin? Let's dive into our first trait. Trait 1. Strategic silence. Picture this. You're in a high-stakes meeting. Everyone is talking over each other. Ideas are flying everywhere. The tension is palpable. And then it happens. Someone makes a bold claim, an accusation, a challenge to your position. Your immediate instinct is to defend yourself, to explain, to justify. But what if, instead of speaking, you chose silence? Not awkward silence, not defeated silence, but powerful, strategic silence. This is where the magic begins. I once worked with a CEO named Sarah. She ran a billion-dollar company, but in meetings, she barely spoke. When she did, everyone leaned in. When she was silent, people became uncomfortable. They started second-guessing their own positions. They filled the silence with concessions, with clarifications, with weakness. Sarah understood what most people never learn. Silence creates psychological pressure. It makes people wonder what you're thinking. It gives you time to observe, to analyze, to strategize. The Stoics called this the power of pause. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your silence is not an impediment. It's your greatest weapon. Here's how to master it. First, recognize the trigger moments. These are situations where your ego screams to respond immediately. Criticism, accusations, challenges to your authority. Your job is to identify these moments before they happen. Second, breathe, literally. Take 3 deep breaths. This simple act does something incredible. It moves you from reactive brain to strategic brain, from amygdala to prefrontal cortex, from emotion to logic. Third, observe. While others are talking, you're listening, not just to words, but to emotions, to body language, to what's not being said. This is where the real information lives. Fourth, choose your moment. The most powerful responses come after deliberate pause. When everyone expects immediate reaction, your patience becomes your advantage. I remember watching Sarah in a board meeting. A competitor made a false claim about her company. The room erupted. People were shouting, defending, explaining. Sarah just sat there, calm, composed, watching. After 5 minutes of chaos, she finally spoke. 3 sentences, that's it. But those 3 sentences ended the debate, established the truth, and positioned her company as the clear winner. How? Because while others were reacting emotionally, she was thinking strategically. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was preparation. Here's your first assignment. Tomorrow, when someone challenges you, when someone criticizes you, when someone puts you on the spot, try this. Don't speak immediately. Take 3 breaths. Observe everything. Then respond with half the words you normally would. The results will shock you. People will respect you more. Your words will carry more weight. You'll make better decisions. This is the first step in mastering the art of strategic silence. But what happens when the real challenge isn't other people, but your own mind? What about the constant distractions that pull you away from this power? That brings us to our second trait. Trait 2, mastering distractions. We live in the most distracted age in human history. Your phone buzzes, your email dings, your social media feeds scream for attention. And here's the terrifying part. Every distraction is stealing your power. Every notification is weakening your focus. Every interruption is fragmenting your mind. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. Epictetus taught that the greatest battle is not external, but internal. It's the battle for your attention. The person who controls their attention controls their life. But here's the problem. Most people have surrendered this control. They've become slaves to their devices, to their notifications, to the endless stream of digital noise. I want you to try something. Right now, put your phone away. Turn off all notifications. Close unnecessary tabs. Just sit with me in this moment. Feel uncomfortable? That's normal. Your brain has been trained to crave constant stimulation. But this discomfort is where growth begins. This is where you reclaim your power. The ancient Stoics practiced something called negative visualization. They would imagine losing everything they valued. This wasn't about pessimism. It was about appreciation, about recognizing what truly matters. Today we need a new practice, distraction visualization. Imagine your life without constant notifications, without endless scrolling, without the pressure to always be available. What would you gain? Deeper relationships, better focus, more meaningful work, inner peace. These are the rewards that await you. But how do we get there? How do we break free from the chains of digital distraction? Here's the framework I've developed after studying both ancient wisdom and modern neuroscience. Step 1. Create distraction-free zones. These are specific times and places where technology doesn't exist. The first hour of your day, meal times, the last hour before bed, during deep work sessions. These zones become sacred. They become your sanctuary for clear thinking. Step 2. Practice single tasking. Multitasking is a myth. It's actually rapid task switching, and it destroys both productivity and mental clarity. When you work, just work. When you talk, just talk. When you listen, just listen. Give each activity your full attention. Step 3. Embrace boredom. Yes, you heard me right. Boredom is not your enemy, it's your friend. It's the space where creativity lives, where insights emerge, where your mind can connect ideas in new ways. Next time you're bored, don't reach for your phone. Just sit with it. Let your mind wander. You'll be amazed at what surfaces. Step 4. Consume information intentionally. Don't let algorithms decide what you think. Choose your inputs carefully. Read books that challenge you. Listen to podcasts that inspire you. Follow people who elevate you. Your mind is like a garden. What you plant determines what grows. Step 5. Practice digital fasting. Once a week, take 24 hours completely offline. No phone, no computer, no social media. At first, it will feel impossible, but after a few weeks, you'll start craving this disconnection. You'll discover mental clarity you forgot was possible. I worked with a tech executive named Michael. He was addicted to his phone, checking it every few minutes. His focus was destroyed. His relationships suffered. His health declined. He tried everything to break free. Nothing worked. Then he implemented this 5-step framework. The first week was hell. He felt anxious, restless, like he was missing out. But by week 3, something shifted. He started thinking more clearly. His creativity returned. His wife noticed he was more present. His work improved dramatically. 6 months later, Michael told me that reclaiming his attention was the single best decision of his professional life. He got promoted. His marriage improved. He felt alive again. All because he decided to master his distractions instead of letting them master him. Here's what I want you to do. Starting tomorrow, implement one step from this framework, just one. Maybe it's creating distraction-free zones. Maybe it's practicing single tasking. Maybe it's embracing boredom for 5 minutes a day. Whatever you choose, commit to it for 1 week. The changes you'll experience will motivate you to implement the rest. Remember what Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." I would add, we have 1 mind and infinite distractions so that we can learn to choose our focus with infinite wisdom. Your attention is your most valuable asset. Protect it fiercely. Use it intentionally. And watch as your power grows, your clarity deepens, and your life transforms. This is the second trait of people who speak less. They've mastered their internal world before trying to influence the external world. They understand that true influence comes from inner clarity, not outer noise. And speaking of influence, have you been implementing these strategies? If you're finding value in this content, make sure to hit that like button and leave a comment below, letting me know which trait resonates most with you so far. Your engagement helps this message reach more people who need it. Now, we've covered strategic silence and mastering distractions. But there's another trait that makes quiet people incredibly magnetic. It's something that draws people in, that makes others want to be around them. Curious what it is? Let's continue our journey into the next trait. Trait 3, magnetic presence. Have you ever met someone who doesn't say much, but everyone is drawn to them? They walk into a room, and without saying a word, they command attention. People lean in when they do speak. Their presence feels powerful, calm, magnetic. This isn't magic. This is trait number 3, magnetic presence, and it's something anyone can develop. I want to tell you about Alex. Alex was terrified of networking events. He would walk in, heart pounding, hands sweating, mind racing with what to say. He'd talk too much, too fast, trying to impress everyone. And you know what happened? People would politely nod, then drift away. Alex felt invisible, frustrated, defeated. Then Alex discovered the secret of magnetic presence. It's not about what you say, it's about how you show up. It's about the energy you bring before you speak a single word. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that true presence comes from inner alignment. When your mind is calm, your body is relaxed, your attention is focused, people feel it. They're drawn to it. They want more of it. Here's how to develop magnetic presence. First, master your body language. Before you enter any room, take 3 deep breaths. Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest slightly, relax your jaw, uncross your arms. This isn't about posture. It's about signaling to yourself and others that you belong here, that you're confident, that you're at ease. Second, practice the power of the pause. When you enter a space, don't rush to speak. Don't rush to connect. Just observe. Take in the room. Notice the energy. Feel the atmosphere. Let people notice you noticing them. This creates curiosity. It positions you as someone who observes, who thinks, who chooses when to engage. Third, develop your listening presence. Most people wait for their turn to talk. They're not really listening. They're rehearsing what they'll say next. But magnetic people? They listen with their entire being. Their eyes focus. Their body leans in slightly. Their attention is completely present. This makes people feel seen, heard, valued, and people are drawn to those who make them feel important. Fourth, cultivate inner stillness. This is the foundation of everything. Before any important interaction, take 5 minutes to center yourself. Close your eyes, focus on your breath. Let go of distractions. Connect with your purpose for being there. When you approach people from this place of inner stillness, they feel it. They may not know what they're feeling, but they're drawn to your calm energy. I watched Alex transform over 6 months. He started practicing these 4 principles. At first, it felt awkward, unnatural. He was used to being the talker, the entertainer, the one trying too hard. But he kept practicing. Then something magical happened. At a major conference, Alex walked in and didn't say a word for the first 10 minutes. He just observed, breathed, centered himself. People started noticing him, wondering who he was, why he was so calm. Then someone approached him, a CEO Alex had dreamed of meeting. Alex listened, really listened, asked thoughtful questions, spoke only when he had something valuable to add. The CEO was impressed, not by Alex's resume, not by his accomplishments, but by his presence, by how he made the CEO feel heard, respected, important. That conversation led to a job offer that changed Alex's life. All because Alex learned that magnetic presence isn't about saying more. It's about being more. Here's your practice exercise. This week, at every social interaction, try this. Enter the space and don't speak for the first 2 minutes. Just observe, breathe, center yourself. Then when you do speak, speak less than usual. Listen more than you talk. Notice how people respond. Notice how you feel. This practice alone will transform your social presence. People will be drawn to you. Opportunities will appear. Relationships will deepen. This is the power of magnetic presence. But there's something deeper that makes quiet people truly powerful. Something that goes beyond presence and influence. It's about their relationship with themselves, with their ego. That brings us to trait number 4. Trait 4. Humble confidence. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance, between self-assurance and self-importance. And quiet people understand this difference intuitively. They possess humble confidence, a quiet strength that doesn't need constant validation, that doesn't require loud declarations of superiority. I once mentored a young leader named Jessica, brilliant, capable, but she struggled with something many high achievers face. She thought confidence meant being loud, meant taking credit for everything, meant always having the right answer, means never admitting weakness or doubt. So Jessica performed. She spoke up in every meeting. She dominated conversations. She made sure everyone knew about her successes. And you know what happened? People respected her abilities, but they didn't trust her. They didn't feel connected to her. They saw her as impressive, but not approachable, not authentic. Jessica had confidence, but it was the wrong kind. It was fragile confidence, confidence that needed constant feeding, constant validation. Then Jessica discovered the Stoic secret to humble confidence. The Stoics taught that true confidence comes from knowing your worth independently of external validation. It comes from understanding that you're part of something bigger, that your abilities are gifts to be used, not trophies to be displayed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is changing. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Humble confidence comes from knowing that your worth isn't determined by others' opinions, but by your character, your actions, your integrity. Here's how to develop humble confidence. First, practice the discipline of not taking credit. When you accomplish something, resist the urge to announce it. Let your work speak for itself. Let others notice and acknowledge your contributions. This feels uncomfortable at first. Your ego will scream for recognition. But this discomfort is where growth happens. Second, embrace not knowing. Confident people don't need to have all the answers. In fact, truly confident people are comfortable saying, "I don't know." They're comfortable asking for help. They're comfortable admitting mistakes. This isn't weakness, this is strength. It shows that your confidence isn't fragile, that it doesn't shatter when you don't have the perfect response. Third, focus on contribution, not recognition. Instead of thinking, "How can I impress people?" ask yourself, "How can I serve?" Instead of wondering, "Did they notice my brilliance?" consider, "Did I help create value?" When you shift your focus from getting recognition to making contributions, something magical happens. People naturally recognize your value. They're drawn to your authenticity. They trust your intentions. Fourth, practice gratitude daily. Humble confidence is rooted in gratitude. When you're grateful for your abilities, for your opportunities, for the people who support you, you naturally become more humble, more grounded, more authentic. Start each day by acknowledging 3 things you're grateful for. End each day by recognizing how others helped you succeed. This practice keeps your ego in check while building genuine confidence. I watched Jessica transform over months. She stopped dominating meetings, started listening more, admitted when she didn't know, gave credit to her team. At first, she worried people wouldn't notice her contributions, but the opposite happened. People started seeking her opinion. not because she demanded attention, but because they trusted her judgment. They knew she was authentic, humble, truly confident. Her team became more engaged. Her relationships deepened. Her influence expanded without her trying to expand it. Jessica told me recently, "I used to think confidence was about being the loudest person in the room. Now I know real confidence is about being comfortable with silence, with not knowing, with letting others shine." That's the essence of humble confidence. It's quiet strength that doesn't need to prove itself. It's authentic power that draws people in rather than pushing them away. If you're finding value in these insights and you want to continue transforming your communication and influence, make sure to subscribe to Stoic Ocean. We explore these timeless principles every single week, helping you build the inner strength that creates outer success. Your subscription helps this message reach more people who need it. Now let's move to our fifth trait, one that combines everything we've learned so far into practical application. Trait 5. Negotiation mastery. Negotiation. Just the word makes most people nervous. We think of high-stakes deals, intense confrontations, winner-takes-all battles. But what if I told you the best negotiators are often the quietest? What if the secret to getting what you want is not talking more, but talking less? This is trait 5, negotiation mastery through strategic silence. I want to share a fascinating story about Maria, a real estate agent who struggled with negotiations. She would talk too much, reveal too much, concede too much. She thought negotiation was about persuasion, about having the right arguments, about out-talking the other side. Then Maria learned the Stoic approach to negotiation, an approach that uses silence as the primary tool, an approach that transforms confrontation into collaboration. The results were extraordinary. Maria's closing rate tripled in 6 months. Her clients loved her. Counter agents respected her, and she actually enjoyed negotiations instead of dreading them. Here's what Maria learned. First, understand the psychology of silence in negotiation. When there's silence in a conversation, people become uncomfortable. They feel compelled to fill it, and in their rush to fill the silence, they often reveal more than they intended. They might disclose their true motivations, their real constraints, their bottom line. Your silence creates space for the other person to talk themselves into your position. Second, master the strategic pause. After you make an offer, after you state your position, after you ask a question, stop talking. Just stop. Let the silence hang there. Count to 10. Count to 20 if you can. This feels incredibly awkward at first. Your instinct is to keep talking, to justify your position, to fill the silence. Resist this urge. The person who breaks silence first often loses negotiation power. Third, use silence to gather information. Instead of asking direct questions, make statements and then be quiet. Instead of saying, "What's your budget?" try, "I'm not sure this will work with your constraints." Then wait. Let them respond. Let them explain their situation. Let them reveal information you wouldn't have gotten through direct questioning. Fourth, practice reflective silence. When the other person makes a point, instead of immediately responding with your position, reflect back what you heard. Then be silent. Let them confirm, clarify, or elaborate. This shows you're listening. It builds trust, and it gives you time to think strategically about your response. Fifth, know when silence isn't the answer. Strategic silence is a tool, not a rule. Sometimes you need to speak clearly and confidently. Sometimes you need to ask direct questions. Sometimes you need to build rapport through conversation. The mastery comes from knowing when to use silence and when to use words. I watched Maria apply these principles in a complex deal. Multiple parties, millions at stake, emotions running high. The other agent was aggressive, talking constantly, making demands. Maria stayed calm, spoke less, used strategic silence at key moments. When the other agent made an outrageous demand, Maria didn't argue. She just looked at him, paused for 10 seconds, and said quietly, "Help me understand how that works for both parties." Then she waited. The silence was uncomfortable. The other agent started talking, explaining, justifying, and in the process, revealed his real concerns. Maria addressed those concerns, not his initial demand. The deal came together smoothly. Both parties felt heard, respected, satisfied. Maria told me later, "I used to think negotiation was about winning arguments. Now I know it's about understanding people. Silence gives me the space to understand, and understanding is the key to successful negotiation." Here's your negotiation practice. This week, in any conversation where you want something, try using strategic silence. Make your point, then stop talking. Count to 10 before saying anything else. Notice what happens. Notice how people respond to the silence. Notice how much more you learn when you talk less. This practice alone will transform your negotiation skills. You'll become more effective, more respected, more successful in getting what you want while helping others get what they need. We've now covered 5 powerful traits of people who speak less: strategic silence, mastering distractions, magnetic presence, humble confidence, and negotiation mastery. These aren't just communication skills. They're life skills. They're the building blocks of influence, success, and inner peace. And we're just getting started. If you're implementing these strategies and seeing results, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment below sharing your experience. Which trait resonates most with you? What changes are you noticing in your life? Your stories inspire others to start their own journey of transformation. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to Stoic Ocean. We have so much more to explore together on this path to wisdom and mastery. Now, are you ready to continue our journey? We have 5 more traits to discover, each one building on what we've learned, each one taking us deeper into the power of strategic communication and inner mastery. Let's continue. Trait 6. Compassionate strength. There's a misconception about quiet people. Some think they're cold, distant, uncaring, but the opposite is often true. People who speak less often feel more deeply. They listen more carefully. They notice what others miss. This is trait 6, compassionate strength. The ability to be strong through kindness, to be powerful through compassion. I want to tell you about David, a CEO, who transformed his entire company through this principle. When David took over as CEO, the company was struggling. High turnover, low morale, poor performance. David's instinct was to be tough, to demand more, to push harder. That's what he thought strong leaders did. But David noticed something about the most respected people in his life. They weren't the loudest. They weren't the toughest. They were the kindest, the most understanding, the most compassionate. So David tried something counterintuitive. He started listening more, talking less, caring more deeply. The results were extraordinary. The Stoics understood this connection between strength and compassion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What injures the hive injures the bee." He understood that true strength comes from recognizing our connection to others, from understanding that we rise together or fall together. Compassionate strength isn't about being soft. It's about being smart. It's about understanding that people are your greatest asset, that their success is your success. Here's how to develop compassionate strength. First, practice active empathy. This goes beyond active listening. It's about feeling what others feel, understanding their perspective from their point of view. When someone speaks, don't just hear their words. Listen for their emotions, their concerns, their hopes, their fears. Ask yourself, what would I feel if I were in their situation? This practice transforms your interactions from transactional to transformational. Second, respond with kindness first. When someone makes a mistake, when someone fails, when someone disappoints you, your first response sets the tone. Instead of criticism, try understanding. Instead of judgment, try curiosity. Instead of anger, try compassion. This doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations. It means approaching them with kindness rather than condemnation. Third, practice small acts of quiet service. Compassionate strength isn't about grand gestures. It's about consistent, small acts of kindness and support. It's noticing when someone is struggling and offering help without being asked. It's remembering what's important to someone and following up. It's celebrating others' successes genuinely. These small acts build trust and strengthen relationships more than any grand speech could ever do. Fourth, hold people accountable with compassion. This is crucial. Compassionate strength doesn't mean letting people off the hook. It means holding them accountable in a way that builds them up rather than tears them down. When someone needs correction, do it privately. Do it respectfully. Do it with the goal of helping them grow, not punishing them. Frame feedback as support for their success, not criticism of their failure. I watched David transform his company through these principles. In meetings, he listened more than he spoke. When employees had problems, he asked questions to understand before offering solutions. When mistakes happened, he treated them as learning opportunities, not failures. The culture shifted. People felt safe, valued, supported. Innovation increased. Collaboration improved. Performance soared. David told me, I used to think strength was about being tough, about demanding excellence, about pushing people to their limits. Now I know real strength is about lifting people up, about creating an environment where they can thrive, about leading with compassion rather than fear. That's the power of compassionate strength. It doesn't weaken you. It amplifies your influence. It deepens your relationships. It creates sustainable success. Here's your practice exercise. This week, focus on one relationship where you can demonstrate compassionate strength. Listen more deeply. Respond with kindness first. Perform one small act of quiet service. Hold someone accountable with compassion. Notice how the relationship deepens. Notice how your influence grows. This practice will transform not just the relationship, but your own character. You'll become the kind of strong that people are drawn to, not intimidated by. The kind of strength that builds rather than breaks. The kind of power that lasts. But compassionate strength requires something fundamental. The ability to understand what others truly need, what they're truly saying. This brings us to trait number 7. Trait 7, deep listening mastery. Most people don't really listen. They wait. They wait for their turn to speak. They rehearse their response while the other person is still talking. They hear words, but they miss meaning. They catch sounds, but they miss understanding. Quiet people listen differently. They listen deeply, completely, without agenda. This is trait 7, deep listening mastery. and it's perhaps the most powerful communication skill you can develop. I want to share a story about Lisa, a therapist who works with couples on the brink of divorce. Lisa has an extraordinary success rate. Couples who come to her often save their marriages even when they've tried everything else. What's her secret? Deep listening. Lisa can listen to two people who have been fighting for years, and within minutes she understands what they're really saying. She hears beneath the words, beneath the accusations, beneath the defenses. She hears the fears, the hopes, the needs, the love that's still there beneath all the pain. The Stoics were masters of deep listening. They understood that wisdom comes from understanding, not from speaking. Epictetus taught, "We have two ears and one mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." But deep listening goes beyond the ratio of listening to speaking. It's about the quality of your attention, the depth of your understanding, the completeness of your presence. Here's how to master deep listening. First, listen with your whole body. Deep listening isn't just auditory, it's full body presence. Turn your body toward the speaker. Lean in slightly. Maintain comfortable eye contact. Relax your body. Breathe deeply. When your entire body is engaged in listening, the speaker feels truly heard. They feel safe to open up, to be vulnerable, to share what's really going on inside. Second, listen to understand, not to respond. This is the fundamental shift that changes everything. Most people listen with one question in mind. How will I respond? Deep listeners listen with a different question. What are they really saying? What do they need? What can I learn? When you listen to understand rather than respond, you catch things others miss. You hear the emotions behind the words. You notice the body language that contradicts the spoken message. You understand the deeper meaning that's trying to emerge. Third, practice the art of the reflective pause. After someone speaks, before you respond, take a breath. Reflect on what you heard. Not just the words, but the meaning. Not just the message, but the emotion. This pause does two things. It gives you time to understand deeply, and it shows the speaker that you're taking them seriously, that their words matter. Fourth, listen for what's not being said. Deep listening involves reading between the lines. What topics does someone avoid? What emotions do they suppress? What needs remain unspoken? Sometimes what's not said is more important than what is said. When you notice these gaps, you can gently explore them, not with accusation, but with curiosity. I notice you haven't mentioned how you're feeling about. I'm wondering if there's something you're hesitant to share. This opens doors to deeper understanding and connection. Fifth, suspend judgment completely. Deep listening requires a state of non-judgment. When you're judging, you're not really listening. You're comparing, evaluating, categorizing. True listening requires openness, curiosity, a genuine desire to understand someone's experience from their perspective. Even if you disagree, even if you would have done things differently, especially then. I watched Lisa work with a couple who had been fighting for 15 years. They came in angry, defensive, ready to end their marriage. Lisa listened. She listened to him talk about feeling disrespected, unappreciated. She listened to her talk about feeling lonely, unsupported. She didn't interrupt. She didn't take sides. She didn't offer solutions. She just listened, deeply, completely. After an hour, the couple was crying in each other's arms. They weren't fighting anymore. They were understanding each other for the first time in years. Lisa had helped them hear what they'd been missing all along, the love that was still there, buried under years of misunderstanding. Lisa told me, "People think my job is to fix problems, but really my job is to listen until people can hear each other, until they understand what they're really saying to each other." That's the power of deep listening. It doesn't just improve communication. It transforms relationships. It heals wounds. It builds bridges where there were walls. Here's your deep listening practice exercise. This week, choose one conversation where you will practice deep listening. Before the conversation, set your intention to understand completely, to listen with your whole body, to suspend judgment. During the conversation, focus entirely on the other person. Notice their words, their tone, their body language. Listen for what's not said. After the conversation, reflect on what you learned, not just about the other person, but about yourself, about your listening habits, about your tendency to judge or respond rather than understand. This practice alone will transform your relationships. People will feel truly heard by you. They'll trust you more. They'll open up to you in ways they don't with others. And you'll understand people on a level you never thought possible. But deep listening is just one part of the equation. To truly master the art of speaking less, you also need to understand yourself, to reflect deeply on your own thoughts, feelings, and patterns. This brings us to trait number 8. Trait 8, reflective wisdom. In our fast-paced world, reflection is a lost art. We're constantly moving, doing, achieving. We rarely pause to look inward, to understand why we do what we do, to learn from our experiences. Quiet people understand the power of reflection. They know that wisdom doesn't come from experience alone, but from reflecting on experience. This is trait 8. Reflective wisdom. The ability to turn life's experiences into life lessons. I want to tell you about Robert, a judge who handled some of the most complex cases in his jurisdiction. Robert was known for his wisdom, for his ability to see clearly through complicated situations, for his decisions that stood the test of time. What was his secret? Daily reflection. Every single evening, no matter how tired or busy he was, Robert spent 30 minutes in quiet reflection. He reviewed his day, his decisions, his interactions, his thoughts, his feelings. He asked himself questions. What did I learn today? What could I have done better? What patterns am I noticing? What am I avoiding? This practice transformed experience into wisdom, action into insight, reaction into response. The Stoics were masters of reflection. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations is essentially a collection of his reflective writings. Seneca wrote extensively about the importance of daily self-examination. They understood that without reflection, we repeat mistakes. Without reflection, we miss opportunities to grow. Without reflection, we live reactively rather than intentionally. Here's how to develop reflective wisdom. First, create a daily reflection practice. This doesn't have to be complicated or time-consuming. Even 10 minutes a day can transform your life. Choose a consistent time. Morning or evening doesn't matter as much as consistency. Find a quiet space. Turn off distractions. Take a few deep breaths, then reflect. Second, use powerful reflection questions. Not all questions are created equal. Some questions lead to insight, others to rumination. Here are some powerful ones. What did I do well today? What could I have done better? What did I learn? How did I grow? What am I grateful for? What am I avoiding? What patterns do I notice in my thoughts and behaviors? Third, write down your reflections. There's something powerful about writing. It forces clarity. It helps you organize your thoughts. It creates a record you can review later. You don't have to write pages and pages. Even a few sentences can be valuable. The act of writing itself is transformative. Fourth, connect your reflections to action. Reflection without action is just daydreaming. The purpose of reflection is to learn and improve. After each reflection session, identify one thing you'll do differently based on your insights, one habit to change, one mindset to shift, one action to take. Small, consistent changes lead to massive transformation over time. Fifth, practice weekly and monthly reviews. Daily reflection is about immediate learning. Weekly and monthly reviews are about seeing patterns over time. Every Sunday, review your week. What themes emerged? What progress did you make? What challenges kept appearing? Every month, take a longer view. How are you growing? What are you learning about yourself? What needs to change for the next month? These longer reviews help you see the bigger picture of your life and your growth. I watched Robert practice this discipline for over 20 years. His reflection journals filled dozens of notebooks. But more importantly, his wisdom deepened year after year. His decisions became more thoughtful, his relationships more meaningful, his life more purposeful. Robert told me, people think wisdom comes from age or experience. But I've seen old fools and young sages. Wisdom comes from reflection, from the willingness to look honestly at yourself and learn from what you see. That's the power of reflective wisdom. It turns ordinary experiences into extraordinary growth. It transforms mistakes into lessons. It converts challenges into opportunities. It creates a life of continuous learning and deepening insight. Here's your reflection practice exercise. Start today. Set aside 10 minutes for reflection. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? How did I grow? What am I grateful for? Write down your answers. Then identify one small action you'll take tomorrow based on your insights. Do this every day for 1 week. Notice how your awareness deepens. Notice how your decisions improve. Notice how you begin to live more intentionally rather than reactively. This practice is the foundation of true wisdom. It's the difference between living and living well, between experiencing and learning, between reacting and responding. We've now covered 8 powerful traits of people who speak less: strategic silence, mastering distractions, magnetic presence, humble confidence, negotiation mastery, compassionate strength, deep listening, and reflective wisdom. Each trait builds on the others. Each one deepens your understanding of yourself and others. Each one brings you closer to the kind of wisdom and influence that changes lives. But we're not done yet. We have 2 more traits to explore. Traits that bring everything together. Traits that complete the picture of what it means to speak less and live more. Are you ready to continue? Let's explore our final 2 traits. Trait 9, resilient mindset. Life will test you. Challenges will come. Setbacks will happen. Failure is inevitable. The question isn't whether you'll face adversity, but how you'll respond to it. Quiet people often possess a remarkable resilience, an inner strength that allows them to weather storms without breaking. This is trait 9, resilient mindset, the ability to bounce back from adversity with grace and wisdom. I want to tell you about Sarah, an entrepreneur who faced what many would consider catastrophic failure. Sarah built her company from scratch. 10 years of her life, countless sacrifices, endless hours. Then one day it all collapsed. Market changed. Competition intensified. Key employees left. Within 6 months, Sarah lost everything she had worked for. Most people would have been crushed, defeated, broken. But Sarah responded differently. She stayed calm. She reflected. She learned. She rebuilt. Not just her business, but herself, stronger than before. The Stoics were masters of resilience. They understood that adversity is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just philosophy. It's practical wisdom for building resilience, for turning setbacks into stepping stones, for finding strength in struggle. Here's how to develop a resilient mindset. First, practice objective acceptance. When adversity strikes, your first response matters immensely. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is?" Instead of resisting reality, accept it objectively. This doesn't mean liking the situation. It means acknowledging what has happened without adding emotional drama or victimhood. Sarah could have spent months blaming the market, her employees, herself. Instead, she accepted, "The business failed. This is reality. Now what?" This clarity allowed her to move forward rather than stay stuck in blame and resentment. Second, focus on what you can control. The Stoic principle of control is essential for resilience. When facing adversity, separate what's within your control from what's not. You can't control the economy. You can't control other people's choices. You can't control unexpected events. But you can control your response, your attitude, your effort, your learning, your next action. Sarah focused entirely on what she could control: her skills, her knowledge, her relationships, her daily actions. This focus gave her power in a situation where many feel powerless. Third, reframe failure as feedback. Resilient people don't see failure as final judgment. They see it as valuable feedback, as data for improvement, as tuition for growth. Instead of "I failed," ask, "What did I learn?" Instead of "I'm a failure," ask, "How can I grow?" Sarah treated her business failure as expensive education. She analyzed what went wrong, what she missed, what she could do better. This mindset transformed her biggest failure into her greatest teacher. Fourth, build your resilience muscle daily. Resilience isn't something you either have or don't have. It's a muscle that can be strengthened through practice. Start small. Practice minor discomfort, cold showers, fasting, difficult conversations, learning new skills. Each time you face small challenges and push through, you build your resilience for bigger challenges. Sarah had been practicing this for years. She regularly stepped outside her comfort zone. She embraced difficult situations. She sought feedback that might sting. This daily practice prepared her for the major challenge that eventually came. Fifth, maintain perspective in crisis. When you're in the middle of adversity, it can feel all-consuming, like it will last forever, like it defines you. Resilient people maintain perspective. They zoom out. They remember that this too shall pass, that they've overcome challenges before, that they're stronger than they think. Sarah kept a journal of past challenges she had overcome. When things got tough, she would read it and remember her own resilience. This perspective gave her strength to keep going. I watched Sarah rebuild over 2 years. She started a new business, this time with more wisdom, more experience, more resilience. The new business succeeded beyond her wildest dreams, but more importantly, Sarah had transformed as a person. She was calmer, wiser, more confident in her ability to handle whatever life threw at her. Sarah told me, "Losing my first business was the best thing that ever happened to me. It taught me that my worth isn't determined by my success. It taught me that I can handle setbacks and keep going. It taught me that true strength isn't avoiding failure, but learning from it and becoming better. That's the essence of resilient mindset. It's not about never falling. It's about always getting up, stronger, wiser, more determined. Here's your resilience practice exercise. This week, identify one small challenge you've been avoiding, one difficult conversation, one uncomfortable task, one learning opportunity. Face it head on. Practice the 5 principles. Accept objectively. Focus on what you control. Reframe as feedback. Build your muscle. Maintain perspective. Notice how you grow from this practice. Notice how your confidence in handling challenges increases. This daily practice will prepare you for whatever life brings your way. But resilience is just one piece of the puzzle. The final trait brings everything together into a state of profound inner peace and outer effectiveness. This brings us to our 10th and final trait. Trait 10, Inner Peace Mastery. In a world of chaos and noise, inner peace is the ultimate competitive advantage. It's the foundation upon which all other traits are built. Without inner peace, strategic silence becomes anxiety. Compassionate strength becomes burnout. Deep listening becomes impossible. Reflective wisdom becomes rumination. This is trait 10, Inner Peace Mastery. The ability to maintain calm, clarity, and centeredness regardless of external circumstances. I want to share the story of Michael, an emergency room doctor who works in one of the busiest trauma centers in the country. Michael faces life and death situations daily. He deals with chaos, pain, loss, and impossible pressure. Yet somehow he remains calm, centered, effective, even in the most horrific circumstances. His colleagues marvel at his composure. His patients feel safe in his care. His decisions are consistently excellent. What's his secret? Inner peace mastery. Michael has developed the ability to maintain inner peace regardless of external chaos. The Stoics called this ataraxia, a state of untroubled tranquility, a mind that remains calm and clear amidst life's storms. This isn't about avoiding emotions. It's about mastering your response to them. It's about creating inner sanctuary that can't be disturbed by external events. Here's how to master inner peace. First, practice detachment from outcomes. Inner peace comes when you're not emotionally dependent on specific results. Do your best. Work hard. Make wise decisions. But detach from the need for specific outcomes. Trust that whatever happens, you'll handle it. Michael saves lives every day, but he can't save everyone. He's learned to give his absolute best while accepting that some outcomes are beyond his control. This detachment doesn't make him care less. It makes him more effective because he's not paralyzed by fear of failure. Second, cultivate present moment awareness. Most anxiety comes from worrying about the future. Most regret comes from dwelling on the past. Inner peace lives in the present moment. Practice bringing your attention to right now, to your breath, to your senses, to what you're doing in this moment. When Michael is in a critical situation, he's not thinking about the last case or the next one. He's fully present with the patient in front of him. This presence allows him to perform at his best when it matters most. Third, develop a regular meditation practice. Meditation is training for your mind, like exercise for your body. It strengthens your ability to remain calm and focused amidst distraction. Even 10 minutes a day can transform your capacity for inner peace. Michael meditates for 20 minutes every morning before his shift. This practice creates a foundation of calm that carries him through the chaos of his day. Fourth, practice acceptance of what is. Inner peace comes from accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it were. This doesn't mean passivity, it means clarity. You can't change what you don't accept. When you resist reality, you create internal conflict that destroys peace. Michael accepts that his work is difficult, that patients will suffer, that some will die. This acceptance doesn't make him cold or uncaring. It allows him to function effectively in difficult circumstances without being destroyed by them emotionally. Fifth, surround yourself with peace. Your environment affects your inner state. Create spaces of peace in your life, physical spaces that are calm and orderly, mental spaces free from constant stimulation, relational spaces with people who support your inner peace. Michael has created a home environment that is a sanctuary from the chaos of his work. He limits news consumption. He chooses relationships carefully. He protects his inner peace like a precious resource it is. I watched Michael work during a mass casualty incident. Dozens of patients pouring in. Chaos everywhere. Families screaming. Staff overwhelmed. Through it all, Michael remained calmly focused, making clear decisions, directing others effectively, providing comfort where he could. Afterward, when the chaos subsided, he sat quietly for a few minutes, centering himself before going home. Michael told me, "People think inner peace is about avoiding difficult situations. But I've learned that true peace is the ability to remain centered in the middle of chaos. It's not about what happens to you, but how you respond to what happens." That's the power of inner peace mastery. It's not about having an easy life. It's about having inner strength that can handle whatever life brings. It's the foundation that makes all other traits possible. Here's your inner peace practice exercise. Start with 5 minutes of daily meditation. Focus on your breath. When your mind wanders, gently return to your breath. Practice acceptance of whatever arises in your experience. Throughout the day, bring your attention to the present moment. Notice your senses. Notice what you're doing. Practice detachment from outcomes while giving your best effort. Create one peaceful space in your environment. This consistent practice will build your capacity for inner peace regardless of external circumstances. Conclusion. We've journeyed together through 10 powerful traits of people who speak less. Each trait builds on the others. Each one deepens your understanding of yourself and others. Each one brings you closer to the kind of wisdom and influence that truly matters. Let's quickly recap what we've learned. Strategic silence, using pause as power. Mastering distractions, controlling your attention. Magnetic presence, drawing people in through calm energy. Humble confidence, strength without arrogance. Negotiation mastery, getting what you want by talking less. Compassionate strength, leading with kindness. Deep listening, understanding beyond words. Reflective wisdom, learning from experience. Resilient mindset, bouncing back stronger. Inner peace mastery, staying centered amidst chaos. These aren't just communication techniques, they're life skills. They're the building blocks of character, wisdom, and lasting influence. They represent a different way of moving through the world, a way that values depth over volume, substance over style, wisdom over noise. But here's what I want you to remember. This isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming more fully who you already are. It's about discovering the power that already exists within you. The Stoics taught that everything you need is already inside you. Your job isn't to acquire something new, but to remove what's blocking your natural wisdom, your natural strength, your natural peace. Each of these traits is already within you, waiting to be developed, waiting to be strengthened, waiting to be mastered. If you've found value in this journey, if you're ready to transform your communication and your life, I have two requests. First, subscribe to Stoic Ocean. We explore these timeless principles every single week, helping you build the inner strength that creates outer success. Your subscription helps this message reach more people who need it. Second, leave a comment below sharing which trait resonates most with you right now. What will you practice first? What changes are you excited to make? Your stories inspire others to start their own journey of transformation. Remember what we learned from the beginning. The quietest person in the room often has the most power, not because they're silent, but because they've mastered the art of speaking with purpose, of listening with intention, of acting with wisdom. This is your invitation to join them, to develop these traits, to transform your communication, to elevate your influence, to find the peace as power that come from speaking less and living more. The journey starts now, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Choose one trait, one practice, one small step. Begin today. Your future self will thank you for the wisdom you're about to develop, for the influence you're about to gain, for the peace you're about to find. This is the path of the Stoics, the path of wisdom, the path of strength, the path of peace, and it's available to you right now. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for your attention, your openness, your willingness to grow. Until next time, speak less, listen more, and live with purpose. This is Stoic Ocean, where ancient wisdom transforms modern lives.